Alright, so before I go into the assembly and kind of my impressions of this great stainless steel work table, I want to show you how I got the best price for it. So on the VEVOR website it's $98.99. Sometimes you can find coupon codes to drop down the price a little bit, but I decided to Google search it. Found the prices were kind of all over the place, but they're right around $100. Wayfair was $77.99, so I thought, okay, I could probably do a little bit better than Wayfair. And I searched on eBay and found that the prices were about the same. I thought I'd give it a shot, found the seller with 99% positive feedback. I offered them $72 and they countered with $72.92. So that's the price I paid. I paid $72.92. And I think that's a great deal considering a basic aquarium stand is still gonna cost me that much, if not more. Now let's get into the assembly. Let's go ahead and take a look at what's inside. So I actually haven't gone through it yet. I just cut the tape open before starting the video. All right, so the instructions is one sheet, as you can see here. There aren't that many parts, right? There's 2 countertops, there's some bolts and washers, and that's it. And the caster wheels, of course, right? For the amount of weight that this countertop can hold, it's way better than any aquarium stand that I could find. And also, I like the industrial look of just stainless steel, real clean. And I think they tend to age better when they're designed this way because it's just so simple, right? It's pretty timeless. And it has this white wrapper over the stainless. It actually looks kind of nice. I'm sure I'm supposed to peel it off. Packaging wise, I would give it an A+ right now. Let's see. So here's what appears to be the bottom shelf. And I'll be honest, the stainless is not super thick. The steel is not a super thick gauge. I don't know if I would really put 110 pounds on this, but maybe because of these support pieces along the sides, it adds to the weight holding capacity. I would definitely, if I'm putting 100 pounds on this shelf, the weight would have to be really evenly distributed. All right, so I got my cast scissors here. I'm gonna cut the wheels loose. So it looks like I got some bolts there. I don't think I've seen a scuff yet. Oh, maybe a tiny bit of a scuff there, but I mean, it's really not significant. So I'm really impressed with the packaging so far from VEVOR. Here's the last piece, I believe. It's the actual countertop. Let's check it out. Oh yeah, this actually feels really strong. Compared to the second shelf, this shelf is supposed to be able to hold 220 pounds. It feels extremely sturdy, and you can see it's all reinforced. These welds are not huge, but I think there's enough spot welds where it'll hold up really well. Especially just for 220 pounds. It should be able to hold. Oh man, these welds are really small. I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but like these welds look really tiny. But I'm assuming that's enough to hold the weight. And also the legs pushing up against it here, it's actually reinforcing that weight. So maybe these welds are not significant, if that makes sense, because it looks like there's an inner frame. The legs go in here and push up against that inner frame, which pushes up against the countertop. So I think we're okay. I'm not gonna worry about it. We plan on having the countertop right here and putting the fish tank on top of it, and I think it'll look just right. So I'm just gonna sit here like a hobo. There's step number 1. I'm gonna go ahead and flip this guy over. All right, so these holes have to line up, obviously. All right, so I'm gonna drop a washer with the bolt. I'm gonna hand tighten it as far as I can. And then go ahead, there's an included Allen wrench. So I'm just gonna spin that guy on, get it tight. Okay, and then I do want to note again, the second shelf is not reinforced nearly as much as the main top shelf. It's really quite obvious, right? The top shelf, they claim, can hold 220 pounds. They claim this second shelf can hold 110 pounds. I don't know that I would put 110 pounds on here. It feels really flimsy. Compared to the main shelf, this is really flimsy. It's a really thin gauge steel here, it's super thin. I think the next step is to shove these legs in. So the bottom portion of each leg has 3 holes, and so that allows that second shelf to have 3 height adjustments. And we'll see how it fits in. So I'm gonna shove this in right here. Take the second shelf. And we're gonna go ahead and put a bolt through the middle hole. I don't really have a preference. I'm just thinking if it's really low, then I might end up kicking the bottom shelf. If it's really high, it might not be high enough for us, or it might be not low enough for us, so. So I hand threaded in one with the washer. I'm gonna go opposite, go diagonal, and hand thread in the second one. Where is that hole? All right, so I'm halfway there. I wanna make a note. These are just press fit. So if you were ever to lift the cart up, there's a chance that you're gonna pop the top half of the cart off, and this bottom half is gonna stay on the ground. So just keep that in mind. Let's say you have a lot of weight on this shelf, and you lifted this cart up by the countertop, there's a good chance the whole thing's gonna pop apart. So keep that in mind. I don't know why this leg is so crooked. Maybe I over-tightened it, huh? So I guess one thing I learned right now is, you see how this leg was way crooked like this? It's probably because my bolt was a little bit too tight. So these bottom bolts here, I wouldn't tighten them all the way until you have the middle shelf and everything aligned, because that's gonna change how it sits. So I'm gonna go ahead and loosen all of these. So I hope this makes sense. You want everything kind of loose until you tighten everything up, or the legs will look crooked. The cutouts, the round cutouts for the legs on the shelf are not perfectly cut out. Even if it's completely flush, you can see that the cutout on the second shelf doesn't align or match up with the round on the legs. But I think functionally it'll be okay. It's just kind of ugly. So I started cranking on one of these corners, and I realized that gap that I was talking about, it like presses fit into the leg of the countertop. So the gap goes away. So the steel bends and it conforms with the leg of the countertop, which is pretty nice. No gap. I think that's about as far as it'll go. But that actually looks pretty good now, huh? There's almost no gap. Let's check out this other leg. You can see the gap right there. So initially I was kind of disappointed that there was that big gap, but then I find this metal just kind of conforms to the leg. So if you look at the gap now, it's almost nothing, right? So all 4 corners look pretty good now. Now I just need to tighten up the bottom legs and put the casters on, get the wheels on here, and I'm done, right? When I tightened up the bottom legs all the way before I tightened up these top legs, it made them really crooked, right? So I don't think I want to tighten these too much. Just hand tight, just enough. Because remember, I don't want any like weird sideway forces going up against the legs because that's what it was doing when I had tightened it all the way, if that makes sense. But I think right now it feels really secure. Here we go. Let's put the wheels on this sucker. These ball bearings are greasy. It's getting my hands greasy. Yeah, they're kind of greasy, so it's hard to get them super tight. Anyway, I gotta go wash my hands. All right, let's flip this around. Again, I'm being pretty careful, so it might pop out. Ooh. There's a cart. Oh, baby, look at that. It tucks in perfectly with our granite countertop. There's the wheels. Let's see how it fits in. Oh man, this is perfect. Got a little bit of wiggle room. Tucks in under the granite. This is gonna look great. Let's see what it looks like with the aquarium on top. A little bit of space on the sides and some space on the back. I mean, I know it's stainless, and at least we have stainless steel appliances in our kitchen, so maybe it won't stand out too much and look weird. And it's more of an industrial look, but it feels real sturdy. Does it blend in with our kitchen? What do you think? Anyway, thanks for joining us. This was an assembly and kind of a quick review on the VEVOR 18 by 24 kitchen worktop with casters. And it looks great.